Okay, so today is cleaning day. Cleaning day number one of many, but so we got the side-by-side here with a 35-gallon water tank in the back. That's got like scalding hot water in it. Normally we run the pump with that little Honda generator, but it quit on us. So thankfully we do have power wired up to this pump station here, so we're plugged into that to use the little pump. But anyways, what needs to be done here is this is one of the remote tanks out here in the woods that where the sap from this section of the sugarbush runs into this tank here. You can see the tank, nice shiny stainless steel. On this end is where the releaser is, and basically what a releaser is it helps, it gets vacuum up on these main lines that come out of the woods, but once the sap comes and fills these canisters, we need to maintain vacuum in the system, but allow the sap to pour into the tank. So that's what these releasers are designed to do. And I can give you a quick explanation on how these work. You can see I've got a couple of the parts here that have to go back together, but Zach still needs to go in the tank and clean this one. But you can see there's two 1.5-inch lines coming out of the woods, coming into that plenum. There's a 1-inch line coming out of the woods on this side, going into this plenum. And the plenum is that kind of horizontal tank where the lines plug in. And you can see that you could hook more lines up to this system, but he has 3 on this one. And on top you can see there's a vacuum gauge back there, which shows how much vacuum is on that plenum, and essentially how much vacuum is going up through these 3 lines up into the woods. So the way this works, let me hop up in there and show you how this all kind of goes together. Okay, I'm getting old. Okay, so the vacuum that it comes in from this big 1.5-inch line here on the top, and obviously we don't want any sap to get up in there and freeze overnight. We want to make sure that when we turn vacuum on, that it can create vacuum all the way up these feed lines up into the woods. So that's how these releasers are designed to work. So the sap comes in on these lines, goes in this plenum here, and you can see in the plenum on the bottom there's 2 holes. So when this is all under vacuum, the sap runs in from the pipes coming in the woods, down through these 2 holes, through these elbows, and into these vertical canisters. Now these vertical canisters fill with sap, and as they fill, this blue float here will rise. I can't really do this with one hand, but when that rises, as the sap fills in here, and the sap comes in through these flap valves here. I don't know, hopefully you can see that. But the sap comes in here. As it fills this canister, it rises, it makes this blue float rise. And when it rises and it's full, this here comes up and it shuts. It flips this switch, which in turn shuts the vacuum off on just this side, this canister. So when the vacuum shuts off, this valve right here is no longer getting sealed and sucked in. So once the vacuum is released, the pressure of the sap inside this vertical tank here, this is opened up and the sap runs into the large tank. As it drains, that blue float goes back down. As it goes back down, it flips this switch back, and then it turns vacuum back on, shuts this valve, seals this valve, so this tank, this canister can continue to fill again. And that cycle just keeps going and going and going. And that's how you maintain vacuum out in the woods while letting the fluid, the sap, run into the tank. There is also a safety feature built into these where if this float were to fail and it continues to draw vacuum and fill, this ball would float and it comes to the top and it seals to prevent any fluid from getting up inside of here and into the valve and so on, and eventually it would go up into that pipe and it would freeze in the cold nights and so on and create all kinds of vacuum issues and so on. But that's essentially the gist of these releasers, is to maintain a consistent vacuum on the system out in the woods, but switching on and off to allow the sap, once it gets filled, to go from these canisters, independently controlled. They both have the same floats. You can see this one has the same float system in it as the other one. That's how this large stainless steel tank gets filled. So what's really interesting is, you know, over the summer these things get a lot of mold and green algae and slime and stuff in them. So before we get rolling and we get things started, we have to clean them. That's what that scalding hot water is, and we have a Scotch-Brite pad that we use, and you can see here that this is essentially, now that I'm done cleaning it, this is essentially like brand new again. There's absolutely nothing, no residuals left. And the same with this. This was pretty nasty when we got here, and basically we get these back to like new, perfectly clean, so that once the sap reaches this point, you know, it doesn't get contaminated. The next piece will be, Zach's gonna hop down in this tank. There's that brush right there, kind of a broom handle brush that he's gonna use, and the remaining hot water that we have in that tank. And he's gonna scrub this entire tank down. There's a drain on that end that will let that run out. And once we get that done, I'll reassemble those clean parts that we have, and those will go hook back together here on these releasers. I'm waiting for that because when he took this apart, this glass piece on that end, you can see through this. On the other end you can see through it, but there is a clear glass cover, vacuum sealed cover on that end. And there'll be another one here against this orange O-ring, but it fell down in the tank. So when Zach gets back here, he can grab that for me. I'll clean it and put this on when he gets to work on cleaning the tank. He just went over to the neighbor's sugar house. He had some questions, and Zach's over there now helping him out. And I just finished cleaning the releaser, but I'm too damn old to climb down in this tank. The bigger tanks are fine that you can stand up in, but this one here is only about 3.5, 4 feet tall. And no, I'm too old for that. My back can't take it. So maybe I'll have myself a beer and sit in the side-by-side until Zach gets back. Okay, I hope you understand how this all works. May not be the best explanation, but hopefully you get the gist of it. And we'll see you on the next one.